We are back with another therapy session here on the Incubators Couch, and we're excited to be here with you. Today, we have the other half of the tailor-made duo, Malcolm Taylor. What's going on, sir?
Yes. Hey, how you guys doing?
We're good, and we're happy to have you on the couch.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
On the couch.
Yeah.
On the couch, right?
We're going to keep saying that for the next couple episodes. On the couch.
Y'all were playing us.
On the couch.
Yeah, I guess I was second best. I think I'm the second person on the couch.
Yeah, this is true.
I think
You
so.
are.
Yeah,
You
okay.
are. Even though the episode might not be right after the other.
Okay.
That's
maybe.
true.
But
That is true.
you
but
are
you are
the
the second person. That
Okay,
is correct.
cool.
You are the second
Well,
person on the couch.
I'll accept that.
But man, we're excited to have you here with us today. This is the Incubators Couch again. Is unscripted, vulnerable conversations with businesses and entrepreneurs just like you. And we're excited to be able to hold space here where business owners can share some of their experiences.
Yeah.
So share with us some in the chat as well while we kind of hear more of your introduction. So tell us a little bit about your business or businesses,
Because
right?
if you've already seen the previous episode,
Which you do
with
need to go back and
Nicole,
hear if you didn't hear that one.
They have done a lot of different things,
Yeah.
and we're excited to hear a little bit of the things that you guys have done and what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
You know, I've done so many things, and I kind of laugh to myself when I begin to start talking about it in my head. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. You know, from middle school, high school on, there was a drive in me, and we used to do these. You know, when you graduate from high school, you do your senior book.
Yeah.
And in my vision side of my
I don't even know
book,
if they do that anymore.
yeah, I don't.
think
Yeah,
so.
I know. We put pictures and all that kind of great. Maybe you
That's
don't do that
really
anymore.
cool.
Maybe I don't know.
But in my vision side of the book, I said I want to own a business, right? So one thing that I did while in high school, I got my license to cut hair and do hair.
Oh.
In high school.
In high school, yeah.
That's
I actually had to sign a
good.
waiver that I wouldn't quit high school. The trade school that I went to, they
Oh,
said
wow.
we've never had anybody in the 10th grade come to us.
Wow.
We usually have people that come that's a GED candidate
Wow.
or something. But they were like, we don't know how to handle this. So we got to go back and
It's
look.
crazy.
Make sure you don't quit
What-
school.
what's this-
I love
what
that
trade
you did
school was
that.
this?
This was in Florida.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it
That's
was
really
called
cool.
Technical Career
Something, yeah.
Institute.
Okay, that's
Yeah, it was
awesome.
on Orange Blossom Drive in
I know
in
exactly where that
Orlando,
is.
in
Yeah.
Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
They had two places, one on Orange Blossom Drive and another one on Colonial Drive.
I know Colonial too.
Yes. So
Good night.
I signed up in the 10th grade. I finished by the 11th grade.
Yeah.
Went off to Pine Forge. I was a licensed
That is
stylist
so cool.
in the 11th grade.
I love
Wow,
that.
that is so
That is
And that
so
was advice
cool.
from my dad, because I used to cut hair at the house, and he said, son, you know, when you go off to college, you can make a little money. So why don't you get your
That's
license?
true.
And I was like, cool, I'll do it. I want to be a business owner anyway.
And you went to Pine Forge, which
Yeah.
y'all might not know. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So all those kids need to get their hair cut.
Yes,
oh yeah,
they do.
and
Yeah.
it's
like
not in-
fishing with dynamite.
It sustained me. It sustained me. It was you know, and I know we're talking about, you know, some of the things that I've done, but it sustained me because at Pine Forge, you had to have a job.
You do.
So I told them I can't work and cut hair because
Yeah.
I do a lot.
True.
So the school was like, you know, some of the people that didn't understand barbering, they're like, you can still work. So the good thing about it, I was cutting the hair of the administrator.
Yes, sir.
They
Come
said,
on.
no, we're signing off on that. This guy's too good. He can't.
Oh my goodness. My goodness.
So my job was, they used to joke me. They said Malcolm is the campus barber. You know?
Come
That's
on.
cool.
So then, fast forward, I get to Huntsville. I'm at Oakwood, freshman, going into my sophomore year, and I'm like, it's time to open a business.
Business, yeah.
Yeah. So what I did was, this guy, older white gentleman, he was. I went to his shop to get a Alabama license because I had a Florida license.
Okay.
So
okay.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna transfer it over. He's like, oh, he said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I work in a shop and I go to school. I'm in college. I said, but I do want to open a shop. He said, well, I'm trying to sell one.
What?
I was like, oh, this is probably a shop that's not us. He said, well, it's on Jordan Lane. I said, oh, I like that.
Jordan Lane.
That's
That's
where I want to be.
That's
For those that
us.
don't know Huntsville.
Yeah. So he said, well, go
Jordan
by
Lane
and look at
is
it. Go by and look at it and let me know what you want to do. So I went by, I looked at it. Guys, I'm 19, right?
That
I
is
go by and look at it
amazing.
and I'm like, hey, it's a shop and there's two older black women that work in it, right? I'm like, why didn't they get it? the entrepreneur mindset.
Right. Yeah, that's real talk. I'm trying my
but-
best
Yeah.
right now because some people would not see the opportunity.
That's true.
And they were old enough to be my mother, almost like grandmother.
Wow.
But then you have the men's side, and they would take care of the women's side. But you do both. But I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
but then I just did one. I was just barbering, but I had license to do both.
Both. Right.
But the thing about it is, when I saw it, I went back to him. I want to get it, and just the Lord worked that out. That's a long story in and of itself.
Yeah.
At that age, to jump 2 feet into the pond, not knowing what to do, you know, in terms of business, because
baptism by fire.
my father is a pastor. You know, he was like, "Son, I apologize. I just didn't
Can't
have."
help you with that.
He said, "I didn't have that acumen, you know, but I apologize, and I didn't have those people around me that I could go to and be like, hey, can you pour into me some things?"
Wow.
Because looking back, I would have done some things different, but you know, and I think we're talking about experiences.
Yeah, we are.
Here's the crazy thing, you know, when I got my salon, it was rental. You know, I was renting a suite.
Yeah.
And so there was an older white gentleman who was an attorney. He was a real estate attorney, and he owned the plaza. Not only did he own the plaza, he owned like a lot of the buildings on Jordan Lane.
Wow.
So when he met me, for some reason he liked me, right? And I'm glad he did, because I wrote a check for my deposit, and that check bounced. 19, guys. You know,
19.
hey,
19.
you know, you right on the whim.
yeah.
You like, hey, I want this business, right? And he called me. He said, "Malcolm, you know, your check didn't go through." I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I said, "I don't want our business relationship to start like this." I said, "But I'll correct it." And do you know that man? From then on, that was the first time and never again. Right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was learning as I was going, but I think there's a freshness in us that we're willing to say, you know what?
I'm gonna try. Yeah.
I'm gonna try, because things just didn't line up. And I'll tell you why that check didn't clear. It's because I found out at the utility company that my deposit was going to be double, like
what
they,
you planned for.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was the problem. I needed the lights on.
Yeah, in order to make money.
Yeah. So that was the catch-22.
Gotcha.
It was not in sleight of hand.
No.
It was just
You know what I love about this portion. I know we're gonna get into it, but the gentleman decided to give you a chance,
Yes.
and this is what we're talking about. This is it right here. I mean, in terms of being an incubator, in terms of being a business owner, an entrepreneur, sometimes you have to learn on the job.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're going to make some mistakes, and having people in your sphere who can give you that grace.
Yeah.
And let me be clear, sometimes you as the business owner might actually need to be the one
To give the
apply
grace.
the grace,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm thinking of a scenario right now where I probably need to be applying some grace. I'm gonna lie.
Mercy and grace.
No. The Lord will have to speak on this.
Okay.
Because
chopping block.
This guy. Anyway, but I love what you shared. We have this full breadth of context in terms of your background and some of the things that have happened. Probably gonna have to have you back. Just kind of share some more of that story.
Yeah. Probably need to fast forward too, because I haven't even gotten to the
Now we're settled in. We know you a little bit. I feel like the audience, put a 2 in the chat if you feel comfortable with Brother Malcolm here. But we know you now. So now tell us a little bit about this particular situation, this experience that you want to share with us.
Okay.
The story that we hope to learn something from.
Yeah, and it's stories, and that's that's the thing, guys. It's funny when you've been through a lot. When you're asked about a particular story, they all tend to collide.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, because you're talking about starting on the entrepreneurial side at 19, but actually, if I back up to high school, I own my own little barbershop in the dorm room. As a
crazy.
16, 15.
I did not know that.
Wow.
Yeah. And which yielded, good revenue.
Yeah.
Even then, I
Yeah.
wasn't rich, but it yielded good revenue. But, in terms of stories, I think for me, the biggest story for me as I learned in business was not to be afraid to fail, right? And I think for us, especially for African Americans, minorities, the stigma of losing a business and not being able to stay in business is just so strong and heavy on us.
It is.
And
That's true.
I think for me along the way, one of the biggest stories that stands out to me is an opportunity that I always wanted, in terms of we call it scaling.
Yeah.
Like I want to scale and just blow up. And I had an opportunity to scale. And I think this is more of a vendor to vendor relationship. Not so well. It's a customer.
Yeah, it's a customer.
So it's like my wife. I think she was on your an episode you guys had previously. She talked about a daycare we had.
Yeah.
And I told you guys I had a hair salon and then a car business, which I didn't get a chance to mention. Yeah,
It is you did some of everything. Come on.
Yeah, and a counseling business.
Okay.
Therapeutic, and in the collegiate system as well. But back to the experience, I think for me, biting off more than I could chew at one time as a young entrepreneur, and then the ability to make a strong move. And when I say a strong move, there was a deal that was on the table for me, my wife, in terms of business, where I could really we were in a plaza and I wanted to own it.
The whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to just...
I would too.
Because this is what I learned when I was in my barbershop hair salon. If you guys remember when I first started, I was leasing that suite.
Yeah.
And I actually sold the barbershop hair salon. But when I was trying to sell it at a better price, the deterrent was you buy my salon, but you have to pay a lease payment.
You do.
And I realized, I'm like, man, if I owned the salon and the building that housed it, that would have been a better package to sell.
Yeah.
Right? So when we got into our daycare, the building, I wanted to buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a 20,000+ square foot building that I wanted to buy. Wow. Legit commercial and everything. And the opportunity was in front of me, right? And the guys that I was dealing with, of course, they were not of our persuasion, and they had a lot of stuff, a lot of possessions, wealthy, and found a banker, and this banker actually got me what they call commitment letters.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
For you guys who are learning, commitment letters are what banks give that say, we'll actually give this person some money.
Right? Yeah. We're learning today. We're learning today. I love it.
So now I've graduated from the 6-figure, hurrah, and this is going into the 7-figure kaboom.
Kaboom. Yeah.
Right? So
we want some kaboom.
Yeah. The 6-figure is hurrah. And even now in 2024, 6-figure is wonderful. But then the 7-figure thing is like a kaboom. And then when you go 7, 8, 9, 10, you're like, hey, nobody can talk to you.
Come on.
And I haven't gotten there. But so I'm looking at that glass ceiling, and the idea of failure at that point was just like pressure. Now I'm in my late 20s, early 30s, and we have this awesome opportunity to do this deal. And guys, when you put God into the scenario, sometimes it just doesn't vibe with the deal. So we're in 2008.
Okay.
Right? And I've got this huge deal that's going on. And I can't tell people around me because it's like,
yeah, it's you can't tell everybody.
That's true.
If they're not in that space, they're not going to be able to. They won't even be able to. It's not even the concept around it. They can't even grasp. So, and then it's true too that you just don't share your dreams with everybody.
Share.
Yeah, and of course, share it with my parents and my mother. She's funny. I just can't put that together, son. But I'm like, okay, cool. But we're gonna work this deal out.
Yeah.
Right? So we had other things in the fire, and I'm talking about the idea of failure, right? So. To me, I'm like, this is the pinnacle of a business deal. And I'm like, it's there. I've got my commitment letters. And then something happens with not the Better Business Bureau, but the SBA, the Small Business
Administration. Okay.
We had 49% of the building. And the Small Business Association, their mandate was 51%. For them to kick in, because we needed a second position. For some of you guys, when it comes to lending, you got your first position. Sometimes when the funding is not good, you need a second position. And then there's even some people who take a third, which is very risky. But hey, that means they get their money last out of the first 2 people. But anyway, I had my first position. A bank out of California was like, hey, we'll do majority of this deal. Second position, the government. For sure, I'm cool. But then they fell through. And the guy that I'm dealing with, he was like, well, we got another place. It's called, it's in Alabama, it's in the South, and they're a little more regulated, right? So then they had a thumb on me. I mean, they were asking for a lot of things, and I don't want to fail, guys. And here's the crazy thing about it. So everything is good. I'm fast forward a little bit because the story is long. So we got a first position. Now we have a second position that's a little more regulated. And then the guys who actually own the whole building that I'm buying the building from wanted to take third. And they, but they had a small hand in it. And these guys are rich, right? But they're not like us, right? I get and they're not treating me like them. But they're like, hey, this young guy, let's see if this young guy can do it. But he's doing it so far, but let's see if he can do it. But now I'm at risk because it's a lot of exposure. The second and third position has more regulation and more of we're going to get you if it doesn't work out. The bank and the government is more so if it doesn't work out, we'll just deal with the property and not you. So now I've got more at risk. But I don't want to fail, right? And I want to say that I'm able to. I did a 7-figure deal, you know. So my wife and I were praying about it, and boom, boom, boom. So the night that I'm supposed to say we'll do it. Now this is the vendor-to-vendor experience. The banker calls me because we've developed this relationship, and he says, Malcolm, we're gonna, tomorrow, we're gonna put the money aside, and we're talking about the money aside is multiple 6 figures to make the 7-figure deal work. He said, so tomorrow is the day. He said, I just wanted to make sure you're on. The guy's name is Kevin. I won't tell you his last name. And he wasn't like us either. He was, very good banker though. This dude was awesome. All right. I said, hey Kevin, man, my wife and I, we were praying about it, and we just can't go with this deal. And it was silence on the phone, guys. You know how you have a cricket moment for 20 to 30? No, it was a cricket moment for like 5 minutes. He just didn't say anything. And I'm just sitting there. I said, Kevin, you okay? He's still quiet. He said, Malcolm, do you realize what you're doing? He said, the guys that you're dealing with, they're rich because they're doing what you're about to do. And he said, if you don't do this, you won't be rich. But then, when you got the spiritual acumen in you, then the text says, what does it profit a man? If he gains his whole world, loses his soul. And I said, well, Kevin, we prayed about it. Can't go through with this deal. So this is the vendor-to-vendor experience. And it's still a customer. I'm his customer. He's my customer. And we're clashing at this point. And he's like, if you don't go through with this, then you failed. And I said, well, I guess I have to be a failure. And this is 2008, guys. Bush is president, right? So I picked up on the 2008 he hangs up with me. Right. And we're done. This dude, he stops talking to me and everything. And when I tell you, we were approved, everything was there. All we had to do was just come and close on this building. But we were the anchor business in that building, right? And there was a dentist. She was a black lady, and she actually had a pharmacy in the front. We had Edward Jones, a couple of things. And what happened was when we didn't go through with the deal, I'm kicking myself, right? Several months later, Bush is leaving office, right? And we see Barack Obama coming in, but the economy tanks. 2008 was. Yeah, it was so bad that the other anchor tenant, the dentist, she had to shut down for a minute or two, right? Oh, wow. And so, and our payroll was a little bit enormous, and we had to eventually shut down too. And I saw where God led me from. Ooh, yeah, because had the government and that other bank been first and second position, I would have been with a friendly foe. But with the second position being more regulated, the third position being these guys that didn't care about me, I was really going to be with some sharks. You gotta look. You gotta look at those pieces. So in that, guys, and the story keeps going. That by 2009, I'm at the point where I need to file bankruptcy, right? I'm going from 7 figures to like now we got to tank this thing out. But I learned along the way that in failure there's success. Most people don't know that Milton Hershey filed for bankruptcy 11 times. Ooh, Hershey. Oh. Milton Hershey. Yes. And this dude is dead and gone, and we know Hershey. We sure do. Because we want a Hershey's kiss. So, was he afraid to fail? Obviously not. See, there's so many pieces here to really dig into. One being that business begets business. Business creates more businesses. We had somebody on who told us about a mentor of theirs who they have a business
and every ancillary thing that their business had to pay for, they
They
started
started
another
another
business.
business for that.
So
Yeah.
he had to hire a cleaning company, and he was like, forget this.
Man.
He created a cleaning company. He had to hire a landscaping company. He was like, nah. He created a landscaping company. And so what we've said that here before, business creates more business.
And that's what we call organic growth.
That's
Yep,
organic
that's
growth.
true.
But you do have to have a certain mindset, a certain perspective, a certain drive, hunger, and determination, vision even, to be able to capitalize on those deals. But the other piece I want to share is I literally just had somebody on a different podcast recently that shared their definition of fail. First attempt in learning. First attempt in learning. I think there's something to be said for leaning into that failure, because as you said, there is success in there. You can do the postmortem and figure out some of the things that went wrong or some of the things that went right. Just like you said, Hershey, 11. You said 11
times.
There is something to be like. There are people that I got a chance to chat with recently that they want to know what you failed at first before they want it. I don't care. Don't tell me what you succeeded at. What did you fail at, and tell me what you learned from it. I sat in an interview looking at the guy like, you want to know what I failed at? I don't want to tell you.
Exactly. 'Cause you might not hire me.
You're not going to hire me. And so those are the kinds of things that we want to encourage in this space as incubators, not just those great moments, those high
Not just
moments,
the successes, but definitely the failures. And what did you learn
what
from it?
did you learn from it?
Yeah.
How did it go? And I think I love the story that you shared. It's totally different than what we've ever experienced here before.
On a different level.
Completely different level, but
it's
perspective that I think our audience will absolutely can sink their teeth in and really gain some value from it as well. Man, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, don't be afraid to fail.
No.
Yeah. Lean in.
Yeah, because what's the acronym FAIL?
First attempt in learning.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's
When he said it, I was
really
like, oh,
good.
now I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
I committed it to
he
memory. I
better.
said, no, that's done. First attempt in learning, man. And
Trademark that, man.
making sure, I can't, but making sure that you do look at it from the perspective of, I'm learning. You have perspective and insight now on the type of deal that others can only wish for, dream for, look towards. And that's the thing. Whenever you have experience, it is just that. It's experience.
Yeah.
And nobody cares about whether it's bad or good or successful experience, unsuccessful experience. It's experience that no one else has. I'll say this and I'll shut up. But every video on my YouTube channel is something that I failed at.
Wow. That's deep.
Every one.
That's deep.
So all of those failures, some of them have 40,000 views. You know, because I'm trying to ensure that somebody else doesn't hit that same failure.
Don't make the same mistake.
So there's something to be said for failure. I love this. I could go for a while now.
It is.
But those are some of the pieces I hope that our audience is really capturing as we think about your business. You think about as you go into your day tomorrow, and what are some of the things that aren't quite going right? How can you shift your perspective towards that thing to ensure that I'm not only, as they say, fail fast, but learn from it and move on it and try again. That's absolutely awesome, man.
Yes, great.
I feel like you were going to say something. I cut you off.
Oh, no. I mean, it's just, all of this is pregnant with thought, but I mean, when it comes to the idea, when we talk about failure, because we kind of went down this lane, you actually, it thickens your skin. We talk about calluses and keloid.
Oh, that's good.
But your skin gets thick, and you actually see yourself changing even in business, because
that is true.
Even with the economy tanking, I still had my businesses going, but they were failing, right? But then it caused me to get more teeth and grind harder, because I had a check, from an auction. Because remember, I told you I had a car business.
Oh yeah.
And so the check that I had was a bank check, right? And it wasn't a huge check, but it was large enough. And I went to the bank that it was written off of. And now for those of us who know checks, we really don't write too many checks anymore.
Right?
But if you get a bank check and you go to the bank that the check is written off of, it's automatically guaranteed because you're at that bank.
You're at that bank. They got to cash it.
Yeah. And so this bank, I'm at this bank with their own check, and the guy was the teller was like, "Oh, we can't cash this check." But now my skin has gotten a whole lot thicker because I'm failing. I'm like, "No, you're cashing it today." And the teller was like, "No, we're not going to cash this check because we have to put a hold on it." I said, "On the bottom of this check, Does it not have your bank's name?
Yeah.
She said, yes, sir, it does. I said, so that means you're going to cash it today.
That check.
So she wouldn't do it. I said, well, you need to get your manager.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You
So
don't understand.
so she went and got the bank manager. And so the bank manager, he comes around the podium. He tells me, oh, sir, we can't cash it. And I looked at him in his eyes. And I said, oh, you're going to cash it today. And I know you will because of what the check says. And he looked at me and he said, I could tell in his eyes. He said, "This guy
he knows his stuff.
He knows what he's talking
Yeah.
about." He said, "Well, sir, can you come to my office?"
Yeah. Oh, I'm certain of it.
I said, "Yeah, I will."
Yeah.
So I went to his office, right? And so he sits down. And
we
now,
got the twofer.
And now he's turning different colors.
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, we can't cash this check." I said, "No, you can and you will.
You got
right?
to.
And you have to.
That's the whole
because
thing of a bank.
Yeah.
Oh my
because
word.
it's
Why
your
they do
check."
that?
He said, "Well, can I be totally honest with you?" I said, "You sure can." He said, "The problem is," and this is we're ever learning. He said, "The problem is our large depositors have the ability to move their money at night. Now we don't know that." He said, "These large depositors, actually, the check you have is by one of these large depositors." Now remember, Bush leaving office, the economy is tanking.
Yeah.
He said, "Now these guys are moving their money around." So even the checks that they're writing off of our bank that are good always, we don't even know if they're good tonight or by tomorrow. You know what I said to him? I feel sorry for you,
Yeah.
but you're going to cash
You don't
this
give me
check.
my money.
Yeah, because I'm not going to take the risk that
No.
you already have
No,
taken.
yes.
You got insurance for that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, that's right.
So cash my check.
Yeah.
And so he says to me, "Oh, I sure hope this doesn't come back to hurt me." I said, "Hey, that's the risk you took by becoming the manager.
There you
Pretty
go.
much.
But by law, you're going to cash this check, right?"
Yeah.
And they cashed that check.
These are things that
Wow.
we, I think there's a whole other segment of shows that we need to start looking
Yeah.
into in terms of Incubators Couch and just opening up a little bit. Venture capitalists, investments, first round, second round. That
Yeah.
there's so
For
much that
real.
you've shared today that I was like,
But that's what I was growing into because of
yeah.
the failures.
Exactly.
My skin was getting thicker and thicker, and I'm like, I'm a nice guy. I am.
Yeah.
But when I have to pull it out, I'll go there.
Yeah, because and in business you've got to have that shark. You got to
You
have
do.
that dog in there, or else people will take advantage of you. They'll run you over.
Yeah.
They will not
That's
give you
true.
what you deserve. No, in business, even when you deal from one business to another, or you have a service provider coming in, you've got to make sure you're getting what you're paying for.
Yes.
Especially as you are looking to provide a service to someone else, and people will hold your feet to the fire.
They will.
Yep.
Doc, let me say this.
Many good
we got to land at some
Yeah, we
I
might
know,
have to,
we
we might have to
do.
edit some of this out.
But I will say, man, this has been phenomenal, man. Take a few more seconds just to share what are some of the things where can people follow? What do you what's your main thing now? You got like 20 million businesses.
Yeah.
What's your main thing now, and where can they find and follow you?
Yeah. Main thing now, actually, I'm a 1099 kind of man. I try to sell myself,
There you go. There
right?
you go.
How much is my time worth? Now that I do it like that.
I love it.
But, I have to step up and become more, I guess, social media minded, So you can find me at TaylorMade. I actually counsel.
Okay, good.
And that is Healthy Life Counseling, HLC. Don't have that website just yet because it's one of those things, when you do so much and you start trying to land a so much plane,
Yeah.
you're like, do I really want to go all in on that? But I still do. But you can still find me on TaylorMade, inbox me, and just take it from there.
Wealth of knowledge, y'all.
Wealth of knowledge. You can see his,
Inbox the man.
you can see
For
his
real.
handle on the screen right there. And fam, listen, this has been a great one. We're gonna wrap it right there. I can't thank you enough. We're gonna have you back though.
For real.
Okay.
This has been
my
an
goodness.
absolutely phenomenal conversation
Yes.
with Malcolm Taylor.